Welcome to Rise Untold, where the stories behind the spotlight come alive. The cameras flashed, the whispers grew louder, and in that single moment, two of the most talked about names in the world stepped out together again. Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, side by side, hand in hand, for the very first time since the engagement that stunned both music and sports fans across the globe. It wasn't just a walk. It wasn't just a sighting. It was a statement. For weeks, the world had been holding its breath. Rumors circled in every corner of the internet. Tabloids ran wild with speculation. Was the engagement real? Was it rushed? Was it staged for attention? Or was it a love story worth believing in? Everyone had their theory, but nobody had an answer. Until now. Because when Taylor and Travis appeared, they didn't need to say a word. Their presence alone spoke volumes. Taylor Swift knows this dance all too well. From the earliest days of her career, love has been both her greatest muse and her deepest wound. The world has watched her fall, love, lose, and rise again, each time with new scars, new lessons, and new strength. Every breakup became a song. Every heartbreak became a headline, and every time she tried to love in the open world made it harder. She has faced whispers of too many boyfriends, cruel commentary about her heart, and endless speculation about her private life. And yet she kept moving forward. She kept believing that love was worth chasing, even when the spotlight turned it into a battlefield. Then came Travis Kelce. On the surface, he couldn't be more different. A powerhouse athlete. A Super Bowl champion. A man used to the roar of a stadium, not the screaming of concert crowds. His life had been defined by touchdowns, trophies, and the game of football. But love has a way of rewriting the script. When their worlds collided, it wasn't just a romance. It was a cultural storm. Suddenly, one of the most famous women on earth was showing up at NFL games. Swifties filled stadiums that once belonged only to football fans. Jerseys with Kelce's number 87 sold out overnight. Television ratings soared. It wasn't just about a relationship. It was about two empires colliding. And with that came pressure. Neither of them had ever faced before. For Travis, it meant every touchdown wasn't just about the game. It was about proving he was worthy of Taylor. For Taylor, it meant every glance at Travis wasn't just affection. It was another headline. Together, they weren't just a couple. They were a brand, a phenomenon, a spectacle that everyone had an opinion about. And then came the engagement. It shocked some. It thrilled others. To fans, it felt like a fairy tale. The pop superstar and the football hero declaring their love for the world to see. But with that announcement came an even greater storm. Was it too fast? Could it last? Was this the real Taylor finally finding her forever, or another heartbreak waiting to happen? For weeks, the silence from the couple only fueled the fire. No appearances, no interviews, just questions. And then, at last, the silence broke. Their first appearance since the engagement wasn't flashy. It wasn't about red carpets or staged moments. It was simple, raw, and real. And that's what made it so powerful. Taylor, in her quiet grace, walked with the same confidence that has carried her through decades of criticism. Her smile wasn't for the cameras. It was for him. And Travis, the man who has faced the weight of championship games, walked with a different kind of pride. Not the pride of a victory on the field, but the pride of a man who knows he's found something worth fighting for off it. Look closely, and you'll see what words can't explain. The way his hand never left hers. The way she leaned just slightly toward him, as if to say, "I'm safe here." It wasn't perfect. It wasn't staged. It was love, raw and unshakable. And maybe that's why this moment matters. Because love in the spotlight often doesn't survive. The noise, the scrutiny, the constant judgment. It crushes even the strongest bonds. But Taylor and Travis are showing the world something different. That love, when it's real, doesn't hide. It doesn't run. It stands tall even when the whole world is watching. Fans across the globe reacted instantly. Swifties flooded timelines with excitement, dissecting every detail of the appearance. The outfits, the smiles, the body language. NFL fans, once skeptical, began to admit what they were seeing, that maybe, just maybe, this wasn't about publicity at all. The media, of course, spun its own stories. But through it all, Taylor and Travis didn't need to explain themselves. Their presence said it all. Because here's the truth. Love doesn't need validation from strangers. Love doesn't need permission from critics. Love doesn't need to be perfect. It only needs to be real. And if you strip away the fame, the money, the lights, and the noise, what you're left with is exactly that. Two people who chose each. Taylor Swift, the woman who has faced heartbreak under the harshest spotlight imaginable, is still willing to try. Still willing to believe. Still willing to risk it all for the possibility of something lasting. And Travis Kelce, the man who once only knew the thrill of the game, has found something greater than any trophy. A teammate for life. Together, they've broken the silence not with words, but with action, with presence, with love. And maybe that's the lesson here, that in a world obsessed with noise, where headlines scream louder than truth, where every picture becomes a story, and where every whisper turns into a wildfire, sometimes the loudest thing you can do is nothing more than simply show up, hand in hand, unshaken, without apology, because silence isn't weakness. Silence can be strength. It can be the power to say, we don't owe the world an explanation. We owe each other the truth. Taylor Swift has lived her entire adult life with the world looking over her shoulder. Every smile dissected. Every heartbreak turned into gossip. Every lyric questioned. People have called her calculated. Others have called her fragile, but few understand what it means to carry your heart in public while millions weigh in on whether or not it deserves to be loved. And yet, she keeps showing up. Not because she wants to prove anyone wrong, but because she refuses to stop believing in love, even when the world tells her she shouldn't. That kind of courage isn't built overnight. It's carved out of every betrayal, every rumor, every tear shed behind closed doors. It's the quiet decision, again and again, to keep hoping. And then there's Travis Kelce, a man who knows pressure of a different kind, the stadium lights, the roar of thousands, the crushing weight of expectation with every game, every season. For years, his worth was measured by touchdowns and trophies. But love doesn't play by those rules. It tests you in ways no game ever could. He didn't ask for this spotlight, the one that came with Taylor, but he stepped into it anyway. Not with fear, not with hesitation, but with pride, because some things are worth standing in the fire for, and that's why this moment matters. Not because of what they wore, not because of how they smiled, not because of the headlines that followed, but because, together, they made a choice to rise above the noise rather than run from it. Because love isn't about silencing the noise. It never has been. It's about learning to rise above it, to stand firm even when the world is waiting for cracks to show, and when you strip away the fame, the flashing lights, and the constant commentary, what are you left with? Two people who looked at each other and said, "This is worth it." That's all love really is. A choice. A decision to stay when walking away might be easier. A decision to protect what matters when the world tries to pull it apart. So, if Taylor Swift, after years of heartbreak, endless speculation, and battles against, a machine bigger than any one person, can still stand tall, unafraid, next to the man she loves. And if Travis Kelce, under the crushing scrutiny of fans, media, and the pressure of blending two massive worlds, can still hold her hand with pride, then maybe, just maybe, love really can survive anything. Because at the heart of this story isn't fame. It isn't music. It isn't football. It's the same thing we're all searching for. Someone who sees us. Someone who chooses us. Someone who stays. And if they could survive all of that, the headlines, the rumors, the doubts, and still rise, maybe you can too.